Knee-high by the 4th of July, garden folklore, summer sayings, and harvest wisdom around the world.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a saying you might have grown up with. Maybe a grandparent said it while squinting out at the garden in early July. Corn should be knee-high by the 4th of July. Part benchmark, part blessing, part farmer's hope, spoken out loud. And that little phrase is far from alone. All over the world, people have tied the garden to the moon, to Saint's Day, to the song of birds and the size of a leaf. Some of it's real, hard-won wisdom. Some of it's a superstition. And some of it's half joke, half prayer. But all of it tells us the same thing. Gardeners everywhere have always watched the world closely. Today, we're wandering through the garden gate into folklore, summer sayings, and harvest wisdom from around the world.
Welcome, witches, pagans, heathens, spiritualists, and anyone interested in living sustainably. This is
Old Ways, New Days, where the old ways meet the good dirt.
I'm Kayla.
And I'm Nell. And each week, we explore the sacred art of living close to the land. From compost to covens, chickens to charms,
We're reclaiming self-sufficiency, seasonal living, and ancestral wisdom.
whether you're stirring your cauldron or your soup pot,
This is a space for wild-hearted folk walking the homesteading path with intention, magic, and muddy boots. Welcome back now.
how's it going, Kayla?
So today. First off, we should apologize to our listeners because we did not post a full moon episode
For last night,
for last night, which
And-
I didn't get to see anyway because it was cloudy.
even on my way into work this morning, I was like, oh, oops, it was a full moon.
Yeah.
And I could barely see it.
Yeah. So sorry, guys, folks.
We're only
ladies,
human.
gentlemen. Yeah, we are. We are only human. And I still don't have a mouse.
And why is that, Kayla?
Well, the plan was to get one today, and I cleaned out the garage this morning to get it ready for garage sailing in August, and took all the cans to the recycler. And as I was on the way to the recycler, because it's been like 108 Fahrenheit heat index the last 2 days.
It's been gross.
It's been really gross, hot and humid. And then it was raining this morning, which is why I decided to work in the garage. And so, of course, what people forget is when it's hot, all the oils from the cars and the exhaust and everything just kind of sits and melts into the pavement. And then when it rains, it creates this oil slick on top. I was almost forced off the bridge of 494.
Woo!
I was in the far right lane, and somebody came careening from the far left lane and missed me by 5 feet.
Dang.
And they went head on into the side of the bridge. Thankfully did not go over the bridge into the Mississippi.
Ooh.
But
Ooh.
so my nerves were so racked after that I forgot everything else that I was going to do. So I went and did garden therapy at the local garden center.
And you bought plants.
And I bought plants instead of buying a mouse. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That was my morning. Because, of course, then I come in home and it stopped raining by that time. So then, of course, I had to put the plants into the garden.
Yep.
And so I was muddy from head to toe from the rain and showered.
Muddy boots.
I know, muddy boots. So showered and then, got ready for you. So,
Yay.
Yes, so that just kind of...
Well, thanks for showering for me.
Oh, you're welcome. You didn't want to see me covered head to toe in mud and weeds.
Not like any bones.
I know.
What do you think I'm going to force you to do over at my new place?
Oh, okay.
You know? Like, Gotta have some help somewhere.
Yep. I'll get there. I'll
And
schedule a day.
What we could do is we could start making video progress since it's going to be fresh.
Right.
Starting from
Nothing.
bare none.
Right. From nothing to glorious yard.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that would be, I'm sure our listeners would love to have some visual content on YouTube instead of just the podcast content on YouTube.
Right.
So that would be awesome.
I have started like just raking all of the dead leaves and stuff from years of just sitting there.
Yeah.
And then I did spray the backyard to kind of get rid of a lot of the weeds that are back there.
Okay.
Because there's such an overabundance of them to
Yeah.
just pull them all by hand.
So,
and then I won't be able to plant anything like produce
this year. Yeah, not this year.
No, I wouldn't be planting them this year anyway.
Yeah.
But next year, because where I'm going to plant the garden, I'm not spraying.
Okay, good.
I'm smart.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to mix chemicals in with the dirt that you're going to be using to feed yourself.
Yeah, but that portion, because I'm going to have a swimming pool back there.
Nice. And your significant other has agreed, your boyfriend?
Yes.
Sweet.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
He's like, as long as it gets used, yeah.
Hey, that's great.
So we'll just have to put like a fence or just move the ladder into like the locked storage room.
Yeah.
That's all we'll need to do.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have a fence around it. If it's tall enough where you need a ladder to get into it, you don't need to put a fence around it.
Oh, only if it's above ground versus in ground, then you don't have to worry too much about squirrels or rabbits or other animals getting in and drowning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I was thinking in ground. That's what I was picturing.
Oh no, I'm not doing an in-ground one. That would be way too much money out of pocket.
Yeah, that they are expensive. Yes.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna talk about some garden folklore today.
Ooh.
I know I'm tongue-tied a little bit.
And then your nerves are probably still a little jittery.
Yeah, I called my fiance and he didn't answer, and I called him again and he didn't answer. I did call 911 though. I did call the emergency line and reported the crash.
Are they okay?
I don't know, because I didn't stay, because it was on the freeway. I didn't want to, it was on the highway. I didn't want to stop because there was semis behind me.
Right.
So I didn't stop, and I told the officer, the operator, that I didn't stop, and he's like, that's fine, that was good that you didn't. And I was like, okay. He's like, do you know anything? I'm like, all I know is it's this color car, is this type of car. They hit head on to the side rail of the bridge and did a 360.
Dang.
And if I wasn't, hadn't been driving professionally for most of my career, I wouldn't have probably responded properly. And yeah,
and been involved in it.
And I would have been.
I don't need any more of those right now.
No, because you just sent me an accident article the other day for somebody that you know.
Yes. Well, so, I don't know the person personally, but I know the person relatives of that person.
So
personally.
So we're telling you, listeners, please be safe.
Yes, absolutely.
It's scary times on the roads, I guess.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we are talking, like I said, about folklore. So let's start with the why. Why does folklore cling to the garden the way it does? Because gardening has always carried uncertainty. Too much rain, not enough, a late frost, hungry pests, poor soil, wind, blight, and heat.
So what's blight?
Blight is like powdery mildew could be considered a blight. It's any kind of disease that affects your plants. Could be a pest, could be,
pollen. Certain types.
Well, I don't know if pollen necessarily. I mean, it can definitely cover, but it could create an environment that could cause an issue. like mold or mildew on the leaves, and which then causes problems with, not producing fruit or producing your harvest. They could look withered or, kind of rot, like they start to,
Wilt.
yeah, they wilt, or they start to ripen, and then all of a sudden, like within a day, they're like rotten from the inside out. That's what blight does. So
Okay.
yeah. So growing food teaches humility very, very quickly. So people remembered patterns. They turned observations into sayings. And a short phrase is easier to keep than a long explanation. It passes from grandparent to child, from neighbor to neighbor, from one season to the next. And these phrases did more than just share information, didn't they?
Well, absolutely.
Of course. They gave comfort. If the weather turned strange, a proverb helped make sense of it. If the crop came in well, the saying was proven true again. And if it failed, maybe the moon was wrong.
Always blame the moon.
Maybe planting came too early, or maybe the signs were missed. Folklore gave the garden a language, not a technical one, a human one.
Weird.
Yeah.
So let's start where the title starts. Corn should be knee-high by the 4th of July. So on the surface, it's a growth marker. By early July, corn should be well established, moving hard into the heat of summer. A way to judge whether the season's running on time. But like most folk sayings, it carries more than one meaning. It's a measure of weather, of soil warmth, of when you planted, of rainfall, and of hope. Less a strict law, more a seasonal checkpoint. And honestly, today, depending on the variety, the planting method, the climate, the region, corn might be well over knee-high by the 4th, or much shorter in a cool year. Modern hybrids, irrigation, shifting weather, they're all moved the old baseline. So why does the phrase survive? Because it's memorable. It reminds us that people once tracked growth not with apps or spreadsheets, but with their own bodies. Knee-high is a wonderful human.
Wonderful.
I know, I saw that. Knee-high is wonderfully human. The gardener becomes the measuring stick. There's something tender in that. You walk out to the field and you are the ruler. Not like the king or queen, like a measuring. So when you come back from our sponsor break, we're going traveling. Garden wisdom, spoken in a dozen tongues, from the British Isles to West Africa. So stay with us.
There's something deeply powerful about growing your own medicine. Not the kind that comes in a plastic bottle from a pharmacy shelf, but the kind that begins with soil under your fingernails, sunlight on green leaves, and the quiet patience of the seasons. For thousands of years, people all over the world turned to plants first. Long before modern pharmaceuticals, families kept small plots of healing herbs close to the kitchen door. Plants for fever, for cough, for sleep, for calming the nerves after a long day's work. Those gardens weren't just practical, they were sacred. A medicinal garden is one of the simplest ways to reconnect with that tradition, even if you only have a patio, a balcony, or a few containers in a sunny window. That's why we have partnered with a medicinal growing kit that's perfect for beginners and seasoned plant lovers alike. This kit comes with carefully selected seeds for classic healing herbs like chamomile for calming teas, calendula for skin healing, lemon balm for stress and sleep, peppermint for digestion, lavender for relaxation. What we like about this starter kit is that it removes the overwhelm. You're not standing in a garden center staring at hundreds of seed packets wondering where to begin. Instead, you start with the plants that have been traditionally used in herbalism for generations. With your seed kit, you'll also receive a copy of the Herbal Medicinal Guide from Seeds to Remedies. This guide will show you how to turn these 10 plants into tinctures, ointments, salves, poultices, decoctions, infusions, essential oils. all in minute detail so you can follow the guide even if you've never made an herbal medicine in your life. And if you're someone who practices earth-based spirituality, herbal magic, or simply wants to reconnect with older ways of caring for yourself and your family, growing medicinal herbs can become part of your seasonal rituals. Planting seeds becomes intention, harvesting becomes gratitude, and every cup of tea carries a story from the soil to your hands. If you're interested in starting your own medicinal herb garden, check out the affiliate link in the show notes. Supporting the link also helps support the podcast and keeps episodes like this growing, because sometimes the most powerful medicine is the kind you grow yourself. All right. Let's travel. Let's gather the wisdom people have spoken in different places. So in parts of Britain, gardeners long said, plant your beans when the oak leaves are as big as a mouse's ear. A mouse's ear.
How do you know how big a mouse's ear is if you don't see the mouse?
No, that's such a specific, gorgeous image though.
It is. Mice
But-
are cute.
And super tiny, so...
They are.
Yeah, it's phenology, reading natural signs instead of calendar dates. You don't trust the number on a page, you trust what the trees are telling you. And then there's planting by the moon. So your above ground crops in the waxing moon, your root crops in the waning. You find versions of that all over the world, whether people follow it literally or symbolically. Lunar gardening is a desire to work with the larger cycles, not against them.
In the Celtic regions, like Ireland and Scotland, midsummer carried its own weight. Fertility, blessing, protection. Herbs gathered round St. John's Day, around midsummer, were believed to be especially potent. And that wasn't only mysticism, was it? No, it was timing too. Summer is when many plants hit their aromatic flowering peak, so the folklore and the practical herbal knowledge braided together.
Now, this one's close to home for a lot of our listeners. In Appalachian and southern gardening traditions, you'll hear, plant your potatoes on Good Friday, or don't plant too early, no matter how warm 1 week feels. And there's the strange, wonderful ones. Never thank someone for a gifted plant because it may not thrive. And the belief that a plant grows best if it's stolen. Stolen, meaning passed along informally, almost conspiratorially, from one gardener to another. Those sayings were never really about the food, they were about community, about story, about exchange.
So I'm just going to take your plants and not tell you.
Yeah. I've got plenty.
I know you do. She'll never notice.
I won't, really.
So now we're going to cross the water over to France. As in many Catholic agricultural traditions, planting times were tied to Saint's Feast Day. A date on the church calendar became a seasonal marker. So when someone says a crop should go in by a particular saint's day, they're preserving generations of local climate memory. Before modern forecasting, feast days were the reliable anchors in the year.
All right, let's move east to Central and Eastern Europe. Across Central and Eastern Europe, weather lore tied the summer harvest to the behavior of swallows, bees, and frogs, and the character of the spring rain. A gentle, steady rain at the right time was a blessing. A thunderstorm during flowering could be read as a warning. Not always scientifically precise, but rooted in pattern recognition over many, many seasons.
So now we're going to go further still. You want to know where we're going?
Where?
To India.
Ooh.
In India, agricultural tradition has long included deep observation of monsoon timing, wind direction, animal movement, lunar cycles, and different regions grew their own sayings, tied to their own rains. And there, the harvest wisdom is inseparable from water. A proverb about clouds or wind is often really a proverb about survival.
And moving further east, into China.
Ooh.
Traditional Chinese agriculture developed around finely tuned seasonal markers, including the 24 solar term that structure the whole agricultural year. That's not quaint at all, that's sophisticated. It's a reminder that folk wisdom isn't always charming and small. Sometimes it's a compact form of serious ecological knowledge.
Well, we can't leave out West Africa.
No, we gotta go south now.
So, in many West African farming traditions, planting and harvest are tied not only to rainfall in season, but to communal ritual, to song, to ancestral rhythm. The saying might not arrive as the neat little proverb English speakers expect, but the principle is identical. Observe the land, remember the season, and pass the pattern on.
Nice. So much of summer folklore circles on one big question.
What's that?
How do we know what kind of harvest is coming?
Yeah, how do we?
I know. And people looked everywhere for the answer. A heavy berry year might mean a hard winter ahead. Abundant blossoms might promise strong fruiting. Too much rain at the wrong stage, mildew, rot, or poor grain. Bees flying low, birds going quiet, insects behaving strangely, all read as signs of coming weather. My fiance's favorite is, are the cows laying down in the field? It's going to rain.
When the birds go quiet, it's going to be a bad storm.
Yes. So,
he's never been cow tipping, has he?
I have no idea. Some of these hold more truth than others, but even when they're imperfect, they reveal something important. Traditional growers were paying attention to systems, not isolated events. The pond, the pollinators, the wind, the stars, the timing of the heat. All of it, one living conversation.
So we're going to dive into the myth, the magic, and the practical wisdom part of this now.
Ooh.
And here's what I find most beautiful about the garden folklore is the practical knowledge and magical thinking live side by side.
Yes, they do.
So a gardener knows from experience when to sow beans and still buries an eggshell for luck. Someone understands compost chemistry down to the microbe and still blesses the seeds before planting. And those don't have to contradict. One belongs to agronomy, the other belongs to meaning. To speak kindly to your seedlings, to plant with intention, to gather herbs at sunrise, to save seed from the strongest plant. These aren't only acts of production, they're acts of relationship. Folklore reminds us that food was never just calories. The harvest was emotional, spiritual, communal, sacred.
All right, so here are a few sayings to carry with you.
Ooh.
I know. Ready for them?
Let me get my pockets. I don't have a piece of paper.
All right. So here's a handful of sayings to carry in your pocket and how to bring all of this wisdom into a modern homestead. Corn should be knee-high by the 4th of July. And in the field that's down the road, it's definitely higher.
Yep.
Plant beans when the oak leaf is the size of a mouse's ear. Plant by the moon. A wet June makes a dry harvest. Never think for a plant.
Gather herbs at midsummer for strongest virtue. What the bees do today, the weather tells tomorrow. And some of those are regionally specific. Some exist in 100 versions, and some are less about literal truth and more about helping us remember when to look closely.
So what do we do with all this now in our modern gardens and homesteads? We hold it with both respect and discernment. We don't have to treat every proverb as scientific fact. We don't need to dismiss the old sayings as nonsense either. Many of them emerged from long observation in very specific places. Their real value depends on your local climate, your crop, your timing. A wise modern gardener can do both. Keep notes, test methods, learn soil science, and still listen to the old phrases. Maybe the best way to honor folklore is to become observers ourselves. Notice when the fireflies appear, Notice when the squash bugs arrive. Notice how the tomatoes respond after 3 hot nights in a row. Notice what blooms when the rain shifts. Because today's folklore begins as today's careful noticing.
The old saying about corn being knee-high by the 4th of July isn't really about corn. It's about measuring a season in living terms. It's about hope standing in the field right beside you. And whether your garden is a backyard patch, a few pots on a balcony, a suburban homestead, or a larger piece of land, these sayings remind us that growers everywhere have always searched for meaning in the same few things.
Sun, rain, seed, and time. If you have family garden sayings, harvest superstitions, seasonal folklore passed down to you, write them down, share them, speak them aloud. I know I'd like to hear some.
Right? Same. I've always heard knee-high by the 4th of July.
I remember my mom saying that when I was a little kid.
Yep. That's how old ways became new days.
Until next time,
may your beans climb high,
your herbs stay fragrant,
and your harvest come in with blessing.